What's up, guys? Welcome into NBA DFS Live for Friday, February 26th. I'm your host, Ben Husser, joined by Justin Bales. Bales, we get an extra half hour tonight to get some news. There are
Yep.
there are a couple injuries we're waiting on. Bam out of IO, Tyler Hero for the Heat, and Jonas Valanciunas for the Grizzlies. I think are the big ones, and then Sadiq Bey is questionable. I think Bam and Sadiq Bey are probably going to play. Uh, Joval, I don't really know, but I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see. Um, Valanciunas being out could definitely change some things. We could get some value plays that we would like. Um, Other than that, though, there's nothing like really crazy. I told you before we got on here. I think the Clippers are going to arrest someone,
Hmm.
so that could be like
That'll be
some
fun.
yeah, that could be like some post lock stuff. I think they're going to arrest someone personally, but we'll wait and see. I don't know. I don't have a definitive answer. It's just my personal what I think is going to happen. And then we have like Cody Zeller is doubtful, so that's going to get Bismack Biyombo in there probably starting, and some of the other Hornets guys are going to be pretty good plays. So I think it's a straightforward slate as of right now, but it's Friday night, so there's definitely room for it to be a little bit crazy, you know.
Yeah. Just before we start, did you notice? I don't know if this is actually a thing or not, but it seems like it. Did DraftKings just bump basically everyone's price down?
Yeah. I mean, I think this morning, like before we got the Zeller news and some other stuff, like it seemed like a pretty like tight in terms of pricing slate, but like Biombo is so cheap, like just putting him in and then you have a couple other guys too. I don't know. I mean, it's easy to pretty much play who you want, I would say.
Because I mean, like Trey Young keeps climbing, which is hilarious. I think he's at what 9.9 now. But when you look at stuff like Curry is slightly under 10 now, which he shouldn't be there. We know that. Lillard dropped a few. He's at 10.1. De'Aaron Fox under 8K shouldn't be a thing. Kyle Lowry at 7 is too cheap. And then like you just have guys that you kind of notice, like Chris Paul dropped a couple hundred. I don't know. It just seems like most players, I'm not going to say everyone because I don't think everyone did, but like most players, John Moran at 7.1 just kind of dropped a few $100s from like the last time we used them.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And like Fox is down to 7-7 now, which is
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about him when we get to point guards. So no, I agree. So we'll just get going here. We're gonna go position by position. If you guys have questions, go ahead and drop those in. Bales has the questions pulled up. We will answer them. So starting at point guard, you were kind of talking about some of those guys at the top: Trae Young, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, LeBron, SGA, LaMelo Ball. Like it's a pretty stacked top tier here. I think like you could see like projections wise, like we like Steph Curry a lot today. In these projections, he has a really high value score at that price of 9,700. We have him projected for around 20% ownership. I think it's between him and Trey for like if you're gonna spend up on one of these point guards, I think it's between him and Trey. Um, I don't know. I like it's a tough choice. Like I would have no problems leaning Trey over Curry, and Trey's projected for half the ownership.
Mhm.
Like it's really really close. Like Charlotte is actually pretty good against guards in the pick and roll, so I don't know. It's not really like a ceiling spot for Curry, but his price is cheap, and he still can, if his shot is on, which it normally is, he can obviously have a huge score. And then Trey, you would worry about maybe Lou Dort being on him, but I don't know the way that he's been playing. What do you lean between those two? I think it's those two at the top for me over like Dame today, though.
Yeah. So initially I was just immediately like, oh, I think Curry's probably the top option. But the more that I actually look into Trey, I feel like, especially for the lower ownership, I would slightly prefer him. If you just want to roll like Curry in cash because Curry's going to be higher owned, I would be willing to bet that at this point that Curry gets probably close to double the ownership of Trae Young. I would be fine with that. But if you want the lower ownership, I think just out of the two, I slightly prefer Trey, not by much. I would agree that I prefer both of them over Lillard or LeBron, although I'm not really opposed to playing either one of them either. I just think that they're more or less a tier below Young and Curry.
Yeah, I agree. I was remembering, I was like, the Warriors just played the Hornets, so I was looking up to see what
Yes,
Curry
when
did.
Curry,
Yeah,
he
that was
got
the game
scratched.
when he got scratched like 2 minutes before the game because he was sick or something outrageous. So we didn't get to see him in that matchup.
To be fair, I think their guards had a pretty big game, didn't they? I think that was did Damian Lee go off in that game? I think.
Yeah, that was like last Saturday night or something, Friday night or Saturday night. It was last weekend, I think.
Yeah, it was. Let's see. Wanamaker had 14, 3 and 5, and Damian Lee had 14, 4 and 2. So, I mean, they had good games, but obviously there's just a small amount of talent difference between Lee, Wanamaker, and Stephen Curry.
Yeah, and we're probably gonna be playing some Hornets guys, so it definitely would make sense to play Curry on the other side. I have no problems with him or Trey. SGA, we'll save him for shooting guard because he's shooting guard on FanDuel, and I think most people are gonna be playing De'Aaron Fox at point guard. So De'Aaron Fox, good matchup against Detroit. He's down to 7,700. It's just too cheap for him. And I think a lot of people will be playing him in cash. We have projected 25% ownership. I think he will probably even be higher than that. I think most people will play him in cash games today on DraftKings. So you want to go him. You do have some plays above him, like Malcolm Brogdon. I think is really interesting. You can use him at shooting guard as well. But dude, Boston's defense has been so bad the last few games. I think it's a really good spot for Brogdon, and I don't expect him to get a bunch of ownership at all.
Yeah, I'd assume Brogdon gets virtually none. I have no problems whatsoever with him, but I don't know. There's just so many good options. Like, one, I don't really not want to use De'Aaron Fox, but if I'm not, like, I probably just drop to Kyle Lowry, who's way too cheap. I worry about their whole coaching situation. I know a lot of people are making jokes that Kyle Lowry is just going to be the coach now, which would be hilarious. I hope he gives himself 48 minutes, but no, 7K is just way too cheap for him. And then also, like, under him at 6'2", Kemba Walker's too cheap on the opposite side from Brogdon. 7'5". I don't know if I've played him once this year on his new team, but Chris Paul gets that Chicago matchup, and he can dish out some assists. So I think Chris Paul is really, really interesting.
Yeah, he's coming off a 50 burger too. I like Chris Paul. There's a lot of good point guards in place today, and we skipped over LaMelo Ball. I don't think LaMelo's going to get much ownership on DK. FanDuel, I think he'll be pretty chalky. I think you're going to want to play him in your main lineup on FanDuel. But, I mean, you can use him on DraftKings in tournaments. I have no problem with it. It's just his price is kind of in between there. But
skyrocketed now.
Yeah, there's a ton of good point guard plays today.
I agree.
So Kemba's great in the mid tier. I mean, Theo Maledon at 4,500. Also, you could consider him mid tier against Atlanta. And then you have Saban Lee at 4,300. Did get a price bump, but that still feels too cheap for him. Especially against Sacramento. Like, it just feels like a really good matchup. And I actually like they've been starting DSJ. So it lets Saban Lee come off the bench, and he doesn't have to play with guys like Jeremy Grant a ton, so he can just do a little bit more offensively. So I still think 4,300 is too cheap for Saban Lee.
I think I agree to the point where, like, I don't have any issues whatsoever if you're playing him, just because, well, one, he gets sacked down, and I'll play literally basically any guard against Sacramento. But he only played 21 in his last game. So I don't know if we're going to see like the 30 that he's been playing, the 28. And at 43, I feel like I don't know if I fully trust him if he's only getting 21 minutes.
Yeah, it was a back-to-back, though. I know he's a rookie, but he hasn't been playing a ton. So maybe that might have played into it a little bit. I don't know.
That would make sense. I'll go on more of the opposite side. I'm actually like Dennis Smith Jr. I think that DSJ is actually a really good play because he's going to get no ownership. We know that even though he's not like a great player or anything, like he's not going to win you a championship, he actually does produce really well for fantasy. And if he's going to get around 25 minutes at 4,600, I do think that he's a really good option tonight.
Yeah, like
Strictly tournament though.
yeah,
I
I
would
like
not
both
bank
of them
it.
in tournaments. I think they're both fine.
Yeah, I'm good
DraftKings.
with that. Do you know how much they have played together this year? I actually haven't looked too much into that.
I don't. I'll pull it up. Let's see if we can find out. You have anyone else cheap here? Or you just want to move on?
I mean, if you want to take a shot on like Corey Joseph, I guess that's more or less fine. If you want to play like Saturansky maybe at 42, but they're just like kind of dart plays. I don't really like either one of them too much. I feel like you're going to want to save elsewhere and more or less spend up at point guard.
I'm gonna pull up Popcorn Machine and see if I can see how much they played next to each other. All right, shooting guard. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for me. One, he gets a good matchup because the Hawks are still down Hunter and Reddish, which is two of their better defenders. So I don't really know like who they're gonna stick on SGA, and they're still pretty thin, right? Like George Hill's out, and he's gonna run the offense. He's been driving a ton. It's a good matchup, and I'm not scared of literally anybody defending him on the other side. So I know his price is kind of up, but I think he's one of the better plays on the slate, to be honest.
Yeah, I really, really like him. I don't. I think he's probably my favorite shooting guard. I kind of like Buddy Hield tonight against Detroit. I don't think he's nearly as safe as someone like SGA. And then I think in the Golden State game, you can use either Kelly Oubre or Andrew Wiggins. Both are shooting guard eligible on DraftKings, which seems kind of weird, but it is what it is. I think either one of them are reasonable for price tags in the 6K. I don't think this is a good position at all, though. I don't know if there's like guys that I'm more or less missing on that you really like or anything, but I feel like SGA is kind of head and shoulders above everyone else.
Yeah, SGA is my favorite play. I like Brogdon, who we talked about at point guard. I like Andrew Wiggins a lot, just because Charlotte. One thing that they do, they allow just a ton of 3-pointers. And we were talking about Andrew Wiggins, man. He's developed into this dominant 3-and-D player. So I think Andrew Wiggins is in a good spot at 6,200 at a gross position. I would have no problems playing him. I guess you could look at Oubre for that same kind of theory, but I would lean towards Wiggins, I think. But yeah, that's about it. Kevin Huerter with these Hawks guys out, I still think is in play. He's 5,200. I wouldn't have any problems using him.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like your man Lou Dort is reasonable at 48. I don't hate him at all. Tony Snell, I'll say him again. He's coming off of 2 solid back-to-back games.
Oh my God.
3,400.
What was his
Tony
shooting
Snell.
though? Is he shooting the lights out? He's got to be shooting the lights out.
Let me quick pull it up and let's see what he's done. In his last 2 games, he shot 4 of 8 and 4 of 7.
Yeah, man, he's due for a 1 for 9 or
something.
something.
7 of 11 from deep.
Oh yeah, dude, he's gonna fall off a cliff, dude.
Yeah, but he's actually adding rebounds and some assists, which is really weird. Listen, I don't think Tony Snell's an elite play. I don't think Tony Snell's a great play.
He's fine to rotate in for value, just because we know Reddish probably isn't gonna play. So I really don't mind it for GPPs. We gotta mention Josh Jackson too. If Saddiq Bey missed, I would be interested in Josh Jackson, even though his price is up. Like, I like Wiggins more than him for cheaper, but if Saddiq Bey misses, you can look at Josh Jackson for sure. He would get a bump.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I actually think that Josh Jackson is everyone. So the thing that I hate about the NBA is if you don't come in and produce literally as a rookie or a 1-year player, you're a bust, and then your team cuts you no matter what pick you were. It's really ridiculous. But that's what happened with Josh Jackson. He was drafted by Phoenix, right?
Yeah, I think he was on Phoenix.
Didn't even look that bad. Wasn't great. He didn't play as well as he was drafted.
Didn't he go to Memphis then?
Yeah, got cut, went to Memphis. Okay. Now he's in Detroit, and he legitimately is playing well. He's like a solid option.
Yeah, I don't think he's that bad at all. People are too quick to give up on people, so. We'll move on. Small forward, Kawhi. So LeBron completely fine. I have no problems playing him. I don't know if I'll have the money to get to him in my lineup right now. Things can change if we get some injuries that opens up some value, obviously. So don't hold me to that. Right now, he's probably tournaments only for me. Same thing with Jimmy Butler. Kawhi at 9,100 would interest me if we got news that like PG was going to rest or something. But even then, man, I don't know. He just hasn't shown like much upside. He never really has been like a massive ceiling DFS player the last couple years, but it's been like especially bad this year, I feel like.
Yeah, it's real low, but
Like he
if
had some
Pete,
50s to start the year, but it's been bad like the last couple weeks.
no, I agree, but if Paul George is out,
Yeah, it's
Kawhi Leonard
too
at
cheap,
9,100
too cheap.
is just ridiculous. Yeah, I would take that.
Yeah. So if like PG plays whatever, you're not getting to Kawhi. I think Jeremy Grant's going to be pretty high owned at 7,300. There's been a couple slates this year where we've kind of gravitated towards him, and this is probably one of them against Sacramento. Just a really good matchup and not overly affordable. And then you have Gordon Hayward right there at 6,700 as well, who I think will be popular with that out. So yeah,
Hayward's price tag is ridiculous. I think he'll
67
probably
is
be
way too cheap, dude.
Yeah, he'll probably. I would assume he's going to be the.
Yeah, he'll probably be
highest
higher
risk
on than Grant.
forward. I like both of them. I also think that obviously you can use guys that we talked about at shooting guard here. Harrison Barnes is coming off of a really big game yesterday. I actually was really close to playing him, didn't pull the trigger. Don't expect a 45-point game out of him again, but do like the matchup. He's 5,500, so not overly expensive. And I think that he's a pretty solid option tonight.
Yeah, he back to back, and he was dealing with some injuries earlier this week. So, what if Harrison Barnes sits out? What would you do then? I don't think it's gonna happen. But if I got the alert, like, oh, Harrison Barnes is questionable or something now, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, do you go to Daquan Jeffries? Is that where we're headed?
Yeah, he started. He would probably start, but I don't know if it would really do anything for me. Like it probably wouldn't change much.
Yeah, I don't think I would be rushing to get anyone in or anything, but I think there'd be some value there.
Yeah, do you have anyone cheaper? Gallinari's up to dude. I think was it last stream when we were making fun of him and he went out and he must have been watching the stream, dude, because he went out and dropped a 55 DK point game. The guy could not miss. The guy could literally not miss. He had to have been watching this stream, or someone that knows Danilo Gallinari was watching the stream, and they texted him, and they're like, "Dude, two losers on Twitter are making fun of you."
They said you're cooked.
Yeah, and he just went out and dropped 55 DraftKings points, dude. 38. Yeah. What did he? She shot 13 of 16, and he made 10 threes. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I want to.
There's no other explanation. Someone had told Danilo Gallinari that we were making fun of him.
I have been a fan of yours for a while. I did think you got your money and we're done playing.
Oh my god!
Prove me wrong.
I cannot believe he dropped.
No, that was
5, dude.
Well, it was so funny because he was like one of the guys that everyone was talking about for value when he played the Cavs, and he dropped 6.
Yeah, if I played him last late, that's what you would have got. You would have got 5.5, not 55.5.
The next day, he was like, "All right, got to go with a 55."
I mean, there's literally no other explanation. So somebody told him that it's got to be that.
Yeah, that's half.
Prove me wrong that someone didn't tell him we were talking trash about him. He just drops 55. Unbelievable.
I do not like anyone cheap here, though. No, I think like if you want Cam Johnson or like, no, you know what? I'm taking it back. No, I don't want anyone cheap here at small forward.
No, it's pretty gross.
Yeah, I don't, unless like Barnes is out and you're playing Jeffries at 3,500. I can't imagine I go below 5,500 here. So
yeah, it's pretty gross. I'm in agreement there. Power forward, Sabonis 10-4. There's like literally no one that's gonna play Domantas Sabonis at 10-4. Although we did get some justice today as he was, named an All-Star. Yeah, replacement. Yeah. So that's good. But I think it's a good matchup because this is the same theory as Malcolm Brogdon with how bad the Boston defense has been lately, and they have no one, right? Like, who do they have? Like, they're running out. Daniel Tice is horrible defensively. Like, Tristan Thompson is not going to stop Domantas Sabonis. Like they really
anyone.
just don't have anybody. So it's a good spot, but 10-4 is just if he was like
Yeah,
1,000 cheaper, dude, we would
I'd
probably
be
be
all
all
in.
in. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 10-4 is just it's getting a little much, and it's not even like a snub game at this point because he made
Yeah,
it
because he
now.
made it. Maybe it's a
So like,
celebration game.
yeah, but I think the celebration game probably isn't coming on the court.
Yep. I like Draymond a lot today. I think he's a good play at 6,600. I don't think he'll be high owned because he's 6,900. I don't think he'll be owned because he's that price, but I think he's a good tournament play. PJ Washington, so I'm dropping way down. I'm just talking about who I think is going to garner ownership. I think PJ Washington's going to be owned. He's going to see some extra time at center with Zeller doubtful, and he's only 5,400, so I think people will want to play him. So do you like anyone in between kind of Draymond and Washington, like excluding Gordon Hayward, who like we already talked about?
Yeah. I think Marvin Bagley's fine. I think he's
Yeah, we're assuming
5,900.
Whiteside's out, right? Because earlier the Kings hadn't
I
put in any injury report because they're on a back-to-back, but he was out for like COVID stuff, so I don't see how he'll be able to come back for this game.
yeah, I think he's out.
Yeah, so that's definitely, dude. Bagley tilted me so hard last night because he got 2 quick fouls like in the second half, and they just yanked him, dude. It was so just egregious.
Yeah, it's just a terrible coaching, and I can't that isn't coached by Luke Walton.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
John Collins is interesting. No, agreed. John Collins, I think, is interesting at 64 against OKC. That's probably more or less it. I think you can drop down to like if Isaiah Roby's going to get the minutes, I would be cool with him. I don't know. I don't trust Roby that much, and it's not like he's priced down anymore. So 49 I think is cheap, but I don't necessarily know if like I'm rushing to put him in my lineups or anything.
No, I think Roby's better on FanDuel today than DK. Covington, I think, is interesting for tournaments. I wish they would play him at center even more than they do. He's actually like super good at center. They should just like start him at center one night and just see what happens.
Run the small ball.
Yeah, like if they played like Houston, I feel like they could do that.
Quick questions had asked if we do college. Yeah, Karma does
Brian
college.
does.
You can go to dfskarma.com. You can check his stuff out. You can get a college package and get in the Discord and stuff. Ben and I specifically do not really partake in the college DFS.
Once they legalize it for Ohio, I'll have more motivation to.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot more since I moved to North Carolina because it's legal, but I don't actually, write anything or give scores or anything like that.
Yeah, this is off topic, but big news of Prize Picks going to be having Call of Duty now, which is just good. It's going to be fun.
That's for you. They 100% did that solely for
probably
you.
They probably heard me talking about it so much. They're like, whatever. Yeah, one other guy I mentioned, Kelly Olynyk, if Bam's out, would probably end up popping pretty nice in projections. I don't mind him at 4,600 if Bam's out, but that I told you before the stream, like that game is so gross to me. Like Utah and Miami, it's just not a good game for DFS. So no guarantees I play him even if Bam's out, but he would become an option, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You like anyone like really cheap here?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
All right, we'll finish up at center. Bam is questionable. Like, look at the sad state of this. You have Sabonis, Davis out, Bam questionable, Christian Wood out. Like, there's just no one, right? So Siakam, Clint Capella, Rudy Gobert, Draymond, Deandre Ayton. That's kind of the group we're working with here. We can go all the way down to Plumlee, who we're going to talk about. He's 6,500. But who do you like at center? I think Clint Capella is interesting. It's not a back-to-back.
Can you say that again? I think you cut out. At least you did on my end.
Yeah, I'm dropping frames. That's my bad. I think Clint Capella is really interesting. People are tilted because they played him in that last game, and he only played 21 minutes, 27 DK points. He wasn't bad, right? 21 minutes, 27 DK points is not bad. He just didn't play many minutes. But I warned people, like, even though like he's been playing on back-to-backs, like he played 37 minutes, right? That was the most minutes he had played all season. So it was kind of tough to expect him to just run out there for a ton of minutes the next night. And like, are you really scared of Isaiah Roby and like Mike Muscala stopping Clint Capella tonight?
No, I think Clint Capella is one of the best center options on the board. The problem is you're obviously wasting one on Bismack Biyombo, and by
Yeah,
wasting one, I mean like he's easily going to hit value, so you have to use him, which only gives you one left. And Mason Plumlee is looking real good against Sacramento.
yeah, great matchup for him. He has this triple double upside that we've talked about. So if you can get odds,
Crazy.
normally FanDuel has triple double odds. I don't know what the odds on Mason Plumlee triple double are. I'm sure they're just outrageous. So you could throw a couple bucks on that for some fun.
No, I agree with that. But yeah, I think Capella's really good. I think Jonas Valanciunas is good if he's playing.
Yeah, if
I do
he's
think it's
out,
risky,
who would we
though.
we would like? You mentioned Gorgie Dang.
Yeah.
Xavier Tillman, I think would start popping as well.
Yep. I think those are the two big ones.
Yeah. One of my favorite tournament plays is at center day. It's Chris Boucher. I don't think he's going to be high owned, like you've mentioned a couple times. Uncertainty with the whole coaching situation there, but this is not a game where the Raptors will need Aaron Baines. The Rockets have no big men right now, of consequence, so they're going to play small ball, and that's what we like for Chris Boucher, right? Like that's the spots that we
Yep.
targeted him. He's only 5,600. If he plays minutes tonight, which I assume he will, he is going to absolutely destroy them, and he's going to destroy 5,600. So he is probably my favorite tournament play on the slate, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's really solid in tournaments too. It's just that I don't ever trust them fully to definitely give him minutes. You know what I mean. So like even in like a matchup where we know that he should, I still have a hard time trusting that he's going to get more than like 20. So I do think that he's one of the better tournament options. I just can't trust it at all.
Yeah, definitely. Like you don't want to play him in cash, but I think tournaments is really good. And then you alluded to it. Bismack Biyombo is going to be super chalky here. He's 3,300 on DK. We are assuming he is going to start at center for Zeller. If he does, he will be one of the highest owned plays on the slate.
Yep. I think there's two more that we can mention. Deandre Ayton.
Yep.
I haven't played him like barely at all this year. But Wendell Carter on the other side too. I know it's not a great matchup, but Carter's still way too cheap for his upside, so I have no problems with him.
Yep, I agree with that. I've been riding Wendell Carter the last couple of slates, man.
Yeah, he's finally getting the minutes, and he legitimately looks good.
All right, thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any last-minute questions, drop them into chat. The time has come, Bales, for a bold call for Friday night NBA.
Yeah, I think I'm going with what we already talked about, and Mason Plumlee is triple-doubling.
Oh my god, dude! I want to know. I'm gonna look this up. I want to know what the odds are on him to triple double on FanDuel. It's gotta just be crazy.
They have to be pretty
Yeah.
solid.
It's outrageous. I know it is. I'll go with man. I'm gonna stick with the center too, and I'm gonna go with Chris Boucher scores. I'm gonna go with the 20-10 double Chris Boucher tonight. I ran it with Wendell Carter on Monday, and I missed it. He went 18 and 13, so we just missed it. So we're gonna go back to that with Chris Boucher tonight.
I like it. All
right. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any other questions, you can hit us up in Discord. Be sure to check out all of our free content, including Bales, dfscomer.com. And final thoughts are free today. I've already filled it out once, so you can go view that. I'm going to go update some of the analysis. And then, obviously, I can change some players out if we get some injury news later on. But thank you guys for watching, and